Well, today I'm going to paint a lovely little cove in Cornwall called Readymoney Cove, and it's at the mouth of the River Fowey, the town is spelt Fowey, F-O-W-E-Y, but I think the locals call it Foy for some reason. But it's a beautiful little cove, and it's got associations with the famous author, of course, Daphne du Maurier. She had a house looking over this cove. I'm not sure over here or from behind, but I've got lots of challenges here. I've got to get this bank of trees, different sort of yellow, brighter greens there, a bit warmer greens, and this wall coming along here, sort of framing it really. But I've got a challenge of getting that sea right, the right colour, so a little bit of green and blue there, but the beach and the sand, and we've got these cluster of houses here, and this rather slightly stormy sky. But anyway, I've sketched it out, and very roughly, so I'm going to get straight on and see what I can make of this. The sky is I'm going to not going to do a wash, as it were, but I'm just going to get a range of colours, some bluey purpley colour. I've got a little bit of cobalt. I've got three blues on my palette: cobalt, cerulean and ultramarine. But I'm going to try and get some of this cobalt going. It's not a lot of sky actually, so we ought to make it interesting. Let's put a little bit of crimson alizarin in there to give us a little bit of that stormy look there. So I'm just going to, I'll leave a few spaces for the clouds. Come down here, just dabbing it in. Right, I think I'm going to leave that and see what can happen there. The magic of watercolour will do its own thing to some extent, which we have to go with. And then this bank of trees. So I'm going to work light to dark, traditional watercolour way. So I put a little wash of the lighter colours in. It's going to be my first wash. It's a sort of bluey green. But I think I can step it up a little bit with a bit of sap. So go just a general wash in here. I'll put some other greens in, because there's some, I've got to get that light and dark. Green coming down here all around here, and comes this knot of houses is really enveloped by green, and so I think we'll just paint around them a little bit, like that. And over here I've got quite a mass of green actually projecting somewhat into the picture. I haven't really drawn it as far across in my sketch as perhaps I should have done, but let's be flexible. It comes here and along this wall here. I've got quite a lot of branches and leaves which I'm going to deal with, but I'm going to get a little umber now and see if I can get a basic colour for this bit of wall here. So as I said, these are just my first wash. Really, I can go in when it's drier. Right, let's leave that, and we can drop in other colours, but I've got to get my sea, my sweep of sea here. How am I going to do that? No, it's a sort of greeny blue actually, so, but I'm going to use a bit of Viridian actually. Let's clean up this bit of my palette and try and keep my colours a little fresh. If you have a dirty palette or dirty paints, it doesn't help. And a clean brush, of course. That's how am I going to get that? I think it's this Viridian, I think. Viridian, and I'm going to put a touch of cerulean with it as well, because I want sort of greeny. Phthalo green would be a good idea, but I haven't got any on my palette at the moment. But I'm going to just sweep this. Okay, there it comes, like that. And we'll step up a little darker, with a bit more cerulean there. Make it a little bit darker. A hint of the blue. Yes, I think we got to do more, because remembering that it's going to dry a lot lighter. So yes, let's do that. Squinting my eyes a little bit darker in places, I think. And there's along here is rocks, a little bit of a rock structure. So we'll actually, it's a little bit darker bits. We can, well, it's wet, we can go and put some marks in. Right, let's leave that for the moment. And then we've got our sandy beach. Now, I've got some sandy coloured here, different yellows, and sandy colours. Let's keep it like that. Let's clean my brush again. It's a tricky one to get some yellow ochre, I think, with a bit of some of these lighter Naples yellow, I think I've got here. that. Yes, I think I put a slight bit of red with it though. Or light brown, just to give it some texture there. Right, leave that now, let's not fiddle. Then we need to get a smaller brush so I can put in some of these greens, which are somewhat different here, sort of light warmish green. Some of these, yes, right up here we've got some gardens with some lawns, so let's lighten up some of our greens with a bit of yellow. So yes, that's what I think I'm going to do. And here it's a nice lawn area coming right up, enveloping this house behind this sort of sea wall. You've got different greens, so I'm going to vary them. Yes, I can see that. Now we've got a nice wall along here as well. Let's just block some greens in and see what happens. Yes, I think I can do that. Because I've got to deal with this whole bank of trees up here. That will be a challenge. And here we've got these rocks coming down. Here, so we'll down to the water here. I'm going to leave some bits of light because I want to show its contours a little bit, which we can do if we have some bits of changes of colour, otherwise it'll look too flat. So I've got some browns there, some umber, and mix that with some of those greens. Come down here, there's a stair, sort of steps along there. We'll try and put them in a minute. And again, this is all along here was a wall. So try and show that. There's our steps here. We'll leave a few lights in that wall, using the paper as our white, but I can go back with some lighter tones. A little bit of brown here and there. Bit of dry brush. When I say dry, it's not entirely, but it's got minimal water on it, so I get a sort of broken line to try and catch some of the light of the lighter stones. Right, and then perhaps we should get straight in and see what we can do with this bank of trees. I'll keep a broken edge, so I'll just get the shape in really. Bit of dry brush here, just a sort of mixture of browns and greens that are on my palette. I think I have to make that a lot darker in a moment, but only parts of it, because it's quite a dense piece of wood actually, dense woodland here. So let's get a bit of blue in some of those greens. They are bluey greens. There's some trees, some big trunks of some trees which are a little bit more prominent, not totally enveloped in the canopy. So I'm just going to try and preserve some of those, just do a few suggestions. I think if I go around them, try and preserve some of the suggestions of the big trunks. Obviously we can cut back a little bit. And we can get some little umber going down here. Suggest this wood. Again, I'm just using a dry brush. This is a number 8 round. That will give me a bit of opportunity to get some more control. There's a couple of houses here which you'll see as I do a bit of negative painting there. Around them you'll see the roof. I'll be colouring the roof in later. Again, this is I think so. We can use all these different colours I've got on the palette. So this is a sort of somewhat darker wash or elements to the lighter element there, but I've got a bit darker mixture now. Just a mixture of different tones that got left over on my palette actually, so it's difficult to describe what they're composed of, but a mixture of greens. Now I'm just squinting my eyes at some of my reference, so I think I'm going to put some different green, a bit of sap green and a bit of Hooker's green, which is always a good paint to use for mixture. And I'll get some some, let me think, some of these yellows, some ochre. Yes, that's what I need. Try and get some of the contours of these trees here. Again, try and keep some of those trunks of those trees. It's quite a big bank of trees. I suppose it's what makes this cove kind of interesting, sort of enveloped by the woodland. Just dropped a little bit of crimson alizarin in a bit of my green mix there, so I get slightly different greens. Again, try and preserve. Maybe I can put in some lighter, scratch some darker, some light against the dark in a minute. But let's just concentrate on, see them as masses really, what I'm trying to do, rather than pick out individual trees. But I can see it needs to be considerably darker in places, so I'm getting some ultramarine and a little bit of hookers with it. Yes, that's a nice green. That'll help me. Yes, it's getting much more of the tone that I need. Yes, that's coming a little bit darker. That's what I need. So I've got some hookers, ultramarine, quite a dark area there, so I'm going to put a little bit of Payne's grey in there to darken that up just a little bit. Of course, this is all going to be bright. Oh, I hope anyway. And there's this yellow of these buildings here. There'll be, they're predominantly white, so the dark acts as a bit of a foil to it. There we are. I think so. Yes. Again, just push and pull with this really. Although, as we've said before, with watercolour, it's not as forgiving as oil, or acrylic for that matter. If you make a mistake with acrylic, just let it dry, paint over it. Or with oil, same again, or you can just wipe it off. People do. Scratch it out, and away you go again. No problem. Watercolour, as I said, not so forgiving, although if you've got a good paper, this is Langton's £140 weight, so there's a little bit of cold press, some texture on it, but not a lot. Let's get some, still need a bit of a brighter green now. So I'm going with a bit of sap there. Put something a bit different in here. And there was, I can see some, like a sort of privet hedge at one point, I think, along here. So let's give that a crack. I'm just doing some masses, really, different colours. So I've got a little bit of orange here mixed with that green mixture, and let's see if that will give me some different tones. I think it does. You can see that already. We'll come back to these tree back, I think. We've still got to do more on that, although while I'm there, let's just step up some dark greens, some ultramarine, a bit of viridian there, or is that hookers? Hookers, I think. Yes, that's why. Let's get a stiffer mixture there. Want it not to blend too much. Not around because it's still too wet here, but we can do it, I think. Yes, I think we can do that. More hookers. It's a really good colour from mixing. Let's go darker still, a little bit of Payne's grey there. You can see the paint is, the paper is still damp, which is not necessarily a bad thing, really. It's giving me a little opportunity for it to run and blend a little bit, which is what I need here. So if I squint my eyes and look at my reference, I can see I'm too light. Yes, I think so. Now it's in a few different tones in my wall there. Let's get a bit of blue into that. Get some grey, a bit of Payne's grey, a bit of blue. When I look at my references, on that bottom edge it's darker. I'll put some darks against the bit of that staircase, which I've got to do something about in a minute. So let's get a bit of umber going now. There were some really dark elements to that cliff face there. I want these bits of paper being too white, so I just smear them over with something. Now I think I ought to perhaps get on and I could do something more with this wall. We need some change of colours here. Let's put some blues in it as well. It's a bit of stone. Got to look pretty solid. You've got to tell the story like it's a piece of stone, which it is. But here I'm going to put some leaves, different shapes, some greens. Let's get this in. Again, just using a small brush there, dry brush, leave some lights to suggest it's stone, catching a few bits of the light there. Now I suppose I ought to get on right away and do something with the with those roofs, so we can show what we've got here. That's the main building there. One roof, another one here. Try and change the colour a little bit. Let me go to lighten that with a bit of yellow ochre. Another one here. It's the same with all paintings. They take a little bit of time to come together before they start to read. I think I'm going to darken up some of them. Let's put a bit more dark in that one because we want contrast. Little porch there, and windows. This guy got a lot of windows there. And this one here, some dormer windows there. Could put some sort of terracotta colour. Let's change the mood a little bit. Yes, a little reddish, light red there. Brownish, reddy brown. chimneys. Always want to put a chimney in if you can. It helps show it as a building. And more greens coming in here actually. It's from this plant here, somewhat obscuring that. Right. Right, let's put a few windows in. I think we need to get that sorted out. And this house has got some timbers coming down like this. Some interesting shapes. These windows there. Just suggesting that these things is, you can't see that much detail in them, but I want to put enough to suggest that they're houses. I think I've done that there. Those dormers. Big door there. Again, we've got to try and give some form to things by giving light and dark. Actually, there's got some crimson alizarin on my brush there. Mixed with a bit of green. So try get some different shapes to the trees there. Yes, I think we'll do that. See what we can. Let's get some darks. These trees. So got some ultramarine, Payne's grey, bit of hookers now. Let's see if I can make these trees read a bit better. Yes, that's what we need to do. There's no form otherwise. I want to keep it a little bit lighter on the top form because it's catching some of the light. So there are some dark bits definitely in the woodland here, especially here, quite a Right, now let's think with this. I think some of our houses are a bit too white, so I'm just going to take a little bit of neutral colour really and try and dull it down a little bit. I want them to be bright but not glaring at us, so this is a very loose interpretation actually. Oh, here there was a little apron, a launching place for your kayaks. Very popular with the holiday makers. We've got to put a few on the beach as well, haven't we? Got to do that. A little too many lights showing still. Just lose a bit. I'm just wondering now, can I? Yes, I could do that with, have I got a stiffish brush? Stiff dry brush is what I want. Or I don't know. Can I do it with my, I could do it with a sharp, with my penknife. You can suggest some of the lights of these boughs. What is just getting a few. Don't know if you're catching that at all. Let's leave that for the moment. Right, we've got to, let's get some different shapes in for these leaves here. So I need to get a, oh yes, this'll do me. A little battered old brush, fairly. Actually, that stiff might help. No, let's get on with those leaves. I want to suggest a few. Going to use some different colours in a minute, but we just my hookers, my sap. They were coming out here too, some of them. We'll on this margin. Again, change the tones and vary the angle of my brush a little bit. They come over this as well, darken bits. This gets, oh yes, that's. Yes, that's what I could do. Some sticks, some little twigs that are projecting into our picture in a moment. Again, this little bit obscuring this bit of the beach, projecting here into our view. Now let's get some different tones. So I've got some cadmium yellow there mixed with my green. I can try and do that. Trying to make them look a bit random as well. Don't want it. Just cover that wall, that margin of that wall there. Some strokes to suggest leaves, just randomly if you can. Then I think we could put a little few twigs. Also there's some quite browny orange elements there. Then I think I'll go with a rigger in a minute. We can put some twigs along there. To show that more as a wall, which is what it is. I think we can just bring that up a bit. Not reading dark enough, I don't think. Rightio. Yes, I think a little bit of different green here, so I'll take a bit of hookers now and a bit of crimson alizarin to give me a sort of dark green there to solidify this little bit here, looking a little thin. Yes, it's good to experiment sometimes with different brushes and see if you can introduce some texture over those dark marks that I did. So I don't know whether my camera's picking that up, but it's definitely giving me a little bit more form to my, that's a little bit too green, so put a little bit of brown in it, bit of umber. Yes, that'll help me now, especially this lighter part. I lay this dark over these lighter forms there. I'm going to put some green in here. Add to this fellow's garden, I think. Some hedges there, formal garden. Let's get some, let's get a bit of cadmium yellow there. Yes, that's a little bit more to us really. A little bit more contrast. Get rid of some of those whites that are showing too vividly there. but we need to put some people on the beach, don't we? A few. Let's see if get some yellow ochre as well. Always good in a tree mix, actually. Yellow ochre and ultramarine make some nice greens. Right. Right, let's get a little brush now and just see if we can't drop in the odd person on the beach. And they're too far away to see much of them actually, but we'll just see if we can put a few people. Just to find that launchway. Let's get that house too. That was quite a striking little bit of woodwork on that one. So let's make something of that. And he had wood coming down there as well. We need to show that better, I think. Okay, let's now we want to do something with this staircase. Suggest a few steps, I think, like that. And what we could do is put some surfboards. There were a few surfboards, I think. A suggestion. They put them up there, don't they? Get a few people here. Little inflatables. Little canoes. Let's get a blue one. Let's have a nice blue. Contrast on that wall. Here it's not showing really. Let's put a bit more on that one. Right. Shall we have I got enough yellow there. Put a yellow one as well. Get that. These rocks here. Some directional marks trying to suggest the form of the cliff. right down there. Now what about, have I got enough in this? Let's see if this is clean enough. A little bit of green, dry mark. There's a few seaweed on the shore as well. The shoreline there. A few nets. And the paraphernalia you get on the beaches. Now have I got enough of these nice? Let's just try and suggest more leaves. Try and get some shape of leaves there. But there we could put, if we clean our brush off, get a nice bit of yellow. Suggest something there. Now I need to get a few sticks, a few little twigs coming in. There were. Yes, we can do that. Just any old random colour, which looks like it might be a twig. Get some umber there. And there were some here as well. Let's make sure we've got that done. A few twigs sticking out. Leaves showing as well on the wall. It's good sometimes to paint one little mark over another one, which pushes the other image further away and gives the illusion that it does. Just try and cover up some of these light marks. But I think I've probably done, I could put a bit of a more texture in the sea there, a little bit of shadow form. And I could put a little darker green, I think. So we've got more contrast with the sand there. Yes, I think we need to do that. Make this a little darker in the sea here. So I've got a little bit of dry brush here, just in that fairly watery mixture, which will help shows some of the ripples I think we've got. Right, I'm using a very watery mix here just to try and soften some of these marks that I've done. What I could do now is put a little bit of gouache on the waterline. Why don't I do that? Right, let's get on with that before my battery dies. Oh, I just realised where my microphone is. It's just hanging off my tripod. Got it connected, but not pinned to my jumper. So I hope you can hear me. If not, I'll have to do a voiceover. What am I thinking? Too much of a hurry. Right, let's get a little bit of gouache now and tickle it along the water's edge there. Yes, that could do it. And we could put a few bits of white here and there to help, perhaps on that wall, show it more. Yes, actually, I think gouache is very handy sometimes. There are people who think it's not right. You should just always leave the paper to give you your whites. But apparently John Singer Sargent used gouache in his painting, so I mean, he is the master. He was the master. No, I'm not going to fight that. If it works for you, then you... There you have the finished painting of Readymoney Cove in Cornwall. My battery ran out just at the very end, so I've done a little bit of work on the sea to change things, a little bit of gouache on the rock face there. Can you see that? A little bit of greyed out, a little bit up more on the trees to make them read a little bit better. But anyway, if you liked it, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. That will help it grow. Anyway, thanks for watching.